What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, bringing home the bacon MLB DFS video. It is Wednesday. It is August 16th, and we are back bringing you another video. Welcome back, or welcome for the first time. If you've never been here before, you're in for a treat. Anytime a video gets at least 50 likes, you leave a comment, and you are a subscriber, your name and your comment are thrown into this YouTube random comment picker, and you have a chance to win a free week. Anytime a video gets 100 likes, do the exact same thing, just like yesterday's video got 100 likes. You have a chance to win a free month. Anytime a video gets 125 likes, you have a chance to win a free year. And anytime a video gets 150 likes, you have a chance to win a lifetime pass. So we're going to see who is the lucky person to win a year or a monthly pass right now. So good luck to everyone. Let's see who it is. The winner is, of the free month, Mitcho Medium. The Royals lit up Logan. Thanks for your vids. Congratulations, Mitcho. Let me know if you saw this video. If you did, like it and tell me in this video. And then you can either email me, dfshelp1@gmail.com, or you can hit us up on Twitter at advisors_team. We will throw that name into the hat. And if you don't have an account on the website, we will get you one and we'll set you up for a free month of DFS content. So currently right now, that will include MLB for a month, MMA for a month, NFL for a month, NASCAR for a month, and PGA. So for NFL, you should get the first week and a half, depending. It'll be till September 16th will be your month. So congratulations and good luck to everyone. We can do the exact same thing if this video gets at least 50 likes, which I know it will. So congratulations there. We've got a full slate. We got 15 games. I'm missing some games here. I'm not really sure. This is the early slate, which has 4 games. This is the main slate, which has 8 games. So I'm missing some that I don't know where they're at. I'm very confused on which ones they are, so hopefully we can cover them. Maybe it's this right here. Maybe it's these 3 games, I think. Let's check it out and kind of see. Yep, that's it. Okay. So now that we have all the games, we're going to go through, we're going to break it down. We're going to go through all the pitching and break it down. Some ways to help the channel out before we do that. Hit the like button, obviously. Click the ads on the videos. Those definitely help us out tremendously. Down below in the description of the video are the links to our website. Going out to the website help out a lot. And donating helps out a lot too. We have our CashApp down below. And lastly, obviously, signing up for FTA Plus. You can sign up FTA Plus right here. A monthly pass is $24.99. Or you can use the promo code NFLVIP under the yearly tab. Normally $199. You can get it for $99. Get $100 off right now. Also in the description of this video is our NFL Weekly League. It's on DraftKings. It's a $10 buy-in each week. We have a total of 200 spots. If they all fill every week, the top 5 places will pay, and first place will be $580 every single week. So get in there early. You've got 3 weeks to get in there and get signed up. So it is down below. That being said, at the end of this video, we go through simulations. We will have simulations, 2,000 simulations. At the end of the day, we have 10,000 simulations. But what they are is simulations of all of the bats and pitching that we like. In this video, we'll go through the top 10 bats and the top 10 pitching that we like after running 2,000 simulations. And about 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern is when we finalize the 10,000 simulations, and that's how we get some of our top plays there. Just so you know. So, first game here, we've got the Pirates at the Mets. You got Johan Oviedo versus Tyler Meagle. Oviedo seeing 52 plate appearances, 222 batting average, 13.5K percentage. So let's take a look. We will definitely look at these pitchers, and we can go from there. So Oviedo is the third highest on this early slate. Game logs, not so good against the Reds here, 1.3. Then he had a really good game here, good game, and then not good game. So he's been very up and down, but he's got a great matchup against the Mets. He's faced them once this year, 6.1 innings, 2 earned runs, 5 Ks out of him, 2.84 ERA, and 16.1 fantasy points per game against the Mets right now. With a 4-game early slate, you got to get a little bit creative. There's not a ton of fantastic pitching options that we have on here. So that is definitely something to look at here. You've got him there. And then you got Meagle, 25 plate appearances, 409 batting average. So while the Pirates aren't that good, Meagle has not been that good against them. You can see 3 straight games of terribleness against Houston, Boston, Atlanta. So not the best matchups for him. Pretty hard matchups in 3 games in a row. He's faced Pittsburgh 1 time this year. 3.2 innings, 9 runs, 7 of them earned, minus 10.4 fantasy points per game. And Meagle has a 17.18 ERA against the Pirates this year. I would not use Meagle. So no one said anything, so we're going to do this one again. If you guys like this, we will go through the batters who are hot, who are not currently. If you want to see batter splits, you want to see everything else, we've got projections. These are the 10,000 projections at the end of the day. These are the batter splits, righty versus lefty, BVP matchups some people like, so on and so forth. You got a lot of free stuff in here and some FTA plus content as well. So looking at the bats, I would not use Meagle, and I would not use the Mets bats too much, but we will go over them. So if you are using bats against Meagle, I would look at Brian Hayes. I would look at Jack Sawinski. I would look at Brian Reynolds at the top there. Kutch has got a bunch of red there. I would look at him. Connor Joe has helped us pretty well. I'd also look at Henry Davis a little bit. Those would probably be the bats that I would look at for the Pirates. If you aren't going with Oviedo here and you are looking at the Mets bats, I'd probably look at Lindor, Brandon Nimmo, Francisco Alvarez, Pete Alonso. Those would probably be it for the Mets bats. But I'm on the train of let's take a little bit of Oviedo and let's take up the Pirates stack here against Meagle. That's what I would do in this game. Next game, Tigers at the Twins. You got Reese Olson versus Kenta Maeda. Reese Olson's faced 37 plate appearances of the Mets or of the Twins, 152 batting average. Kenta Maeda, 84 plate appearances, a 241 batting average against him. So, taking a look, obviously Maeda is at the top here at 9,900, but let's look at Reese Olson against Minnesota. Game logs, he just faced Minnesota his last start. We suggested him his last start, and a couple of subscribers also did, saying that Minnesota was very boom or bust. They are either hitting the ball or they're striking out a ton. And as you can see, he had a great game. 6 innings pitched, no earned runs, 3 walks, 8 Ks, 30.5 fantasy points. He was 7,300 there. He's only gone up $400. Now he's on the road, so let's take a look. Splits-wise, he's faced Minnesota twice this year. 11.1 innings, 1 earned run, 17 Ks. He's dominated them this year. Home games, 4.78. When he's on the road, he's pitching better, 3.91. Game logs, it was at home here, and now it's on the road where he is better. So I am looking at Reese Olson here. 7,700, absolutely love Reese Olson here. You can save a little bit of money between him and Oviedo, or you can go him and Oviedo there. So then you got Kenta Maeda going up against Minnesota or Detroit. 6 innings, 1 earned run, 4K, 17.1. So he had a good game too. 9,500, but now he's 9,900. And if he has the same exact result, we need at least 20 fantasy points out of him. So while he is the most expensive pitcher on the slate, people are going to see, oh, he went up against Detroit. He gets a great matchup. I'm probably not going to use him just because you need a little bit. You need to differentiate yourself from the pack, especially in a 4-game slate here. So I'm probably going away from Maeda. Probably avoid him. I would take Reese Olson in this one. And then if we're looking at bats, which I'm probably not looking at bats in this game. I'd rather just look at pitching. So I'm avoiding the bats in this matchup here. If you're going against my advice, or you have a feeling, the bats that I would use for the Tigers would be Torkelson and Riley Green. Been absolutely on fire. They got a ton of red there. Kerry Carpenter I would use, maybe a little bit of Jake Rogers. Matt Vierling a little bit. That's probably it. If for whatever reason you're not going with Reese Olson and you want to go with Minnesota bats, Joey Gallo for tournaments, okay, but he strikes out too much. You got Kepler. Ryan Jeffers is kind of in the middle, no red and a little bit of blue, and that's for sprinting, but he's a catcher, so that's obvious. Donovan Solano, Carlos Correa, Edward Julian, and that's probably, maybe Jordan Luplow a little bit for tournaments, but that's probably it. So I'm probably going with Reese Olson and not really any of the bats, or a couple of the Tigers bats against Maeda, and that would be it for me. So the next game, you got Diamondbacks at the Rockies. Slade Ciccone versus Austin Gomber, or Ciccone, or I don't know how you say his name. He hasn't done much. Hasn't gone much into games. He's in Colorado. I'm not using him. Not using pitching here at all. And then Austin Gomber, for whatever reason, he's had a couple of good games here. But yeah, he faced the Dodgers. Did not do well in that game. We did stack the Dodgers. It didn't come at us with enough fantasy points due to earned runs, but he did give up 8 hits. Splits-wise, he's faced Arizona once this year, 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 4 Ks, and 20.5 fantasy points. I just don't trust this game because it's in Colorado. That game, was it in Colorado or Arizona? Let's see. That game was at home on April 30th, but it is hot now. It's humid. The ball does fly out of there, especially in this ballpark. I'm probably avoiding both of the pitching in this game, and I would look at the bats. So the bats are going to be expensive. We know this. They're Coors. The Coors effect is they're going to be super expensive, but we can look at it. Tommy Pham against the lefty in Colorado, I'll take. Ketel Marte. Corbin Carroll, even lefty on lefty matchup. Corbin Carroll had a weird 3-0 count, and he bunted for an out yesterday. It was really weird. I would look at Moreno. I would look at Lourdes Gurriel Jr. I would look at Christian Walker. So I do like an Arizona stack here. A bunch of righties and a couple of lefties in that I'd look at. Maybe Kyle Lewis for tournaments and Alek Thomas for tournaments as well. If you're not going with Arizona and you want to go with Colorado bats, Ryan McMahon, Nolan Jones, Brennan Rodgers would be the ones that I'd look at. Charlie Blackmon is back, so I'd maybe look at Charlie Blackmon as well because I think he'll be under-owned today. So that being said, that is what I would look at here. I wouldn't look at pitching. I would look at bats. And then Tampa Bay at San Francisco, you got Aaron Savale versus Ryan Walker. Savale's the second highest priced pitcher here. Game logs, not the best. He had a fantastic matchup against Detroit for his debut. And then 4.1 innings, 3 earned runs, 4 Ks, only 6.4 fantasy points. Not a lot. Splits-wise, he hasn't faced San Francisco this year. On the road, he's got a better ERA on the road, and he's going into San Francisco, which is a fantastic pitcher's park. I think I would rather take Savale for the savings of 500 than Maeda. You got to get a little crazy in this 4-game slate. And then Ryan Walker, I don't want anything to do with. Not going deep into games. He's an opener. That's it. Nothing much. And he just pitched on Monday. So he's going to go maybe 2 innings there. So yeah, I'm not taking him. In this game, I would take Savale over, obviously, Ryan Walker. But if you want to look at bats against Ryan Walker and or the bullpen and or that comes through, did it say who's going to be right after him? No. Okay. So, well, I guess Ross Stripling will be the one coming in after him. So he's a righty. But yeah, splits-wise, he hasn't faced Tampa Bay this year. Game-wise, not too bad, but I'd rather take Tampa Bay bats. So I would look at Yandy Diaz, Randy Arozarena, Luke Raley's came through for us, Brandon Lau, And that's probably it. And then if you aren't going with Savale and you want to look at these bats, Jock Peterson, J.D. Davis I would look at. Austin Slater I would look at. Patrick Bailey, Michael Conforto, Lamont Wade Jr., and Wilmer Flores would be the Giants bats that I'd look at if, for whatever reason, you're not going with one of these pitchers. So that is the early slate. We look at this. So the pitchers that I would use would be a little bit of Savale, Oviedo, Reese Olson, and then I would probably avoid the rest of them. That would be my thought process in this one. Or you could go Ross Stripling just because maybe people aren't paying attention and see that Ryan Walker's the opener, doesn't know it, and then he's there. So that's, what is PLR? Probable long reliever. Stupid because that's a new thing now. So, okay. So you could look at that. If you want to see how the bats have done against right-handed pitchers or lefties, go to FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, MLB, then go to batter splits, and you can break it out that way as well. So moving on to this little 3-game afternoon slate, you got Noah Syndergaard versus Andrew Abbott. Noah Syndergaard going up against Cincinnati. We did see Logan Allen have a really good game against Cincy yesterday in Cincy. And looking at all the ballpark factors yesterday, it was the number one ballpark for home runs. It was the number one ballpark for runs projected in that game, and we didn't see that. We saw Logan Allen shut him down for a 3-0 win there. Now we got Noah Syndergaard. Game logs, he's coming off a pretty good game against Toronto. We did use him in that one because Toronto strikes out against righties quite a bit, and he was cheap, and he came through for us. Now he gets a little bit worse matchup for him. He's faced Cincy once this year, 3 innings pitched, 6 earned runs, 18 ERA. I want to see, and that was at Cincy, which is exactly where we're at here. So, not the best. I mean, he comes in with a 6.35 ERA, 2-5 record, so I'm a little bit weary about using him, especially in this smaller 3-game slate. Flip side of that, Cincy, Andrew Abbott against Cleveland. Game logs coming off a really good game against Pittsburgh. Hasn't faced Cleveland this year. Has he faced them at all? He has never faced them before. In his home games and 6 starts at home, 2.75 ERA, which is crazy because this is a ballpark here where should be up a ton of runs. So depending on what the weather's doing, how we're looking for wind, humidity, everything like that, which I will look at real quick. The wind is actually blowing in, but it's got a plus percentage for home runs and plus percentage for extra base hits here and runs. So I think people are going to be on Abbott because he's expensive. I think I'd probably avoid Abbott just at his price and go with Verlander just a little bit cheaper. But if you want to look at the bats real quick, we can see who's had success and what we can go with. So if you're not going with Abbott and you're looking at Cleveland bats, I'd look at Gabriel Arias. I would look at Jose Ramirez, obviously. Oscar Gonzalez a little bit. Cole Calhoun actually came through yesterday. I think he had a 2-run single in his first at-bat yesterday. So he had 2 of the 3 runs yesterday. Andres Jimenez I would look at, and that's probably it on the Cleveland side. If you're not going with Syndergaard and you're going with the Reds, Ellie De La Cruz, Joey Votto, Will Benson if he's towards the top of the lineup, Spencer Steer I would look at, Matt McLain I would look at, Friedel and Stuart Fairchild, maybe a little bit of Kevin Newman. So I do like some stacks here. I like both of the sides. I think I'd probably side with more of a Cincy stack over Cleveland, but if you got to get a little bit creative on a slate like this. Next game, Astros at the Marlins, Verlander versus Luzardo. You've seen the Marlins have actually hung around with the Astros. They won 2 days ago. They lost on Tuesday. Now they get to face Justin Verlander. Verlander in his career against the Marlins, 80 plate appearances, 208 batting average. I'm guessing he's pitched against them this year being on the Mets, but we'll look. So game logs, his last start against the Angels, 21.9 fantasy points at 9,400. He's the same price. He hasn't actually faced Miami this year. Home games, 2.50 ERA. On the road, he's actually worse on the road. I think Honestly, I think I kind of want to avoid Verlander. He is expensive. I kind of like the Marlins bats in this one, which is crazy, but his road game's not very good this year. And he's super expensive at 9,400. What, second highest priced? I might avoid Verlander once you dig into the numbers a little bit. So let's take a look. Or I guess we got to look at Luzardo as well first. The Jesus Lizard. Game log's not a good game against the Yankees. 3.1 innings, 7 earned runs. That's when the Yankees actually put up some runs, which is kind of intense there. Splits-wise, hasn't faced Houston this year. Home games, 3.31 ERA. So he's a little bit better at home, but the Astros are a good team, especially against lefties. Yordan is great against lefties. I'd look at Yordan. I'd look at Diaz. If he starts, definitely looking at some Diaz here. Kyle Tucker's amazing against lefties, batting like 350 against lefties. I would look at him. I would look at a little bit of Chas McCormick. I would look at a little bit of Bregman. Altuve, obviously leading off. You're going to get some points there. And then if you want to look at batters against Verlander, Jake Berger should be a very cheap option. Jesus Sanchez, Jazz, Jorge Soler, Brian De La Cruz, Josh Bell. I know Josh Bell got us the big old goose egg on Tuesday, but we're back to the well with Josh Bell. That rhymed. It wasn't supposed to. I would also look at Luis Urias. So honestly, in this game, I think I kind of want the offense. So that brings us down to not very many pitching options to look at. But we will. We definitely will. And then athletics at the Cardinals, you got Paul Blackburn versus Matt Liberatore. Neither have faced each other before. Blackburn, game log, not good against Washington. Had a great matchup against Washington. 5.2 innings, 4 earned runs. Then had a good game against San Francisco, at Colorado, and against Houston at his price. But now he's 7,000. Splits-wise, on the road, he is worse on the road at 534, so I'm probably not using him. And then Liberatore. We stacked the Tampa Bay Rays against Liberatore his last start. And what does he do? He has his career best game of his entire life, 8 innings against a really good Tampa Bay offense. 2 hits allowed, no earned runs, 7 Ks, 34.8 fantasy points. Now he gets a great matchup against Oakland. I think we kind of got to use him here. So we look at Liberatore here. He's very cheap. He's the cheapest on the slate at 5,400. You got to get a little bit of exposure somewhere. I think we could look at Liberatore here. And then maybe Syndergaard. I mean, this is going to be a weird slate because I don't trust Verlander on the road. Maybe Abbott. He is expensive. You could put Abbott and Liberatore there and still average about 4,300 the rest of the way, which is pretty good because you see no catchers at 4,300. I would use Diaz. We might even build a lineup here real quick. We've never done this, and you could use this lineup if you want. But depending on how you want to build through and go through here, 4,400, if you want to look at that. Josh Bell, I would look at Josh Bell at 3,400, and then I would look at Luis Ariz here. And I didn't think I'd build a lineup, but I guess here we go. And I'm not saying this is how it's going to be, but this is what I'll look at. So I'll look at Jake Berger here against Verlander. So that brings us to shortstop, which is still averaging 4,800, which takes us Tommy Edman down if you want to average it. But we're not. So we could look at, let's go Ellie at 6,300. I know it's a little bit expensive. And then I'm going to go Kyle Tucker against a lefty, and that brings us to 3,400. So we could look at 3,400 here. What do we like? Coming down. If we want to continue the whole trend against Verlander, I'd go Sanchez, and then that gives us 4,000. Then we could go Brian De La Cruz. You've got a Miami stack here. You got your 2 pitchers. You have a remaining salary of 100, and I feel pretty confident about this lineup. I didn't think I'd be able to you guys a lineup. So if you guys use it, let me know, and let me know how much you put on it, and if you had success, that's awesome. And there you go. That is the afternoon slate. Now we will move on to the main slate. So I'm not going to put this in right now, but I will put this lineup in later on for an afternoon slate. So we've got the main slate going on. We've got the Red Sox at the Nationals. We've got James Paxton versus Mackenzie Gore. Paxton's only faced 8 Washington bats. Mackenzie Gore, 7 Boston bats. So now, looking at this game being played at Nationals Park, it's going to be hot and humid, but the wind is blowing in, so that could be good for pitching. So we look at the pitching here. You got James Paxton against Washington, which is a great matchup for him, but it seems like every time we've taken a pitcher against Washington this year, it's really not helped us more times than not. So game logs, coming off a good game against Kansas City, but it's Kansas City. 5.1 innings, no earned runs, 6 Ks, 24.4. Then he had a couple of stinkers, and we got a good one against the Mets. Splits-wise, on the road, he's worse on the road. 4.07 ERA. Whether or not we want to go with that, we'll see. But he does have a good matchup against Washington. Then we got Mackenzie Gore, going to be down here, up against Boston. Up and down. Very up and down. Splits-wise, home games, he is a little bit better at home, but he's almost at 4 ERA at home. I'm probably avoiding Mackenzie Gore. I'll have a little bit of exposure to James Paxton, but I kind of like the bats probably a little bit more than not. So looking at this, preview-wise, Boston at Washington. Devers and Casa, I would definitely look at. Jarren Duran, Justin Turner. If you haven't seen the clip, Justin Turner got struck out on a pitch that was probably 7 inches off the plate. The umpires have been absolutely atrocious this year. Absolutely atrocious. So I would look at Justin Turner, maybe a little bit of Verdugo, Yoshida, maybe some Adam Duvall. That's what I would look at there. If you're not going with Paxton and you want to look at the Washington bats, Stone Garrett maybe a little bit. Lane Thomas I would look at. C.J. Abrams I would look at. Maybe Michael Chavis if he starts, if you want a revenge game against his old team or whatever, and maybe a little bit of Jeter Downs. But I kind of like Paxton a little bit in this one, that I'll have some exposure to him. Next game, Phillies at the Blue Jays. You got Aaron Nola versus Kevin Gausman. Nola, 56 plate appearances, a 327 batting average against him. Gausman, 126 plate appearances, a 276 against him there. So looking at this, Nola is 9,000. Game logs, not too bad against Washington. 5 innings, only 1 hit, earned run allowed, 6 Ks. Obviously, you want at least 20,000 out of him there, or 20 fantasy points out of 10,000. But he went down to 9,000. Toronto, they do strike out against righties. Since Bo Bichette went down, they strike out against them a lot. They're towards the bottom half in strikeouts there. We look at this. He's faced Toronto once this year. 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 6 Ks, had 21.3 fantasy points. If he could replicate this, that would be awesome. Game logs, let's see, was it in Toronto or at home? It was at home. And now he's on the road in Toronto. Splits-wise, away games, he is worse on the road at 5.15 ERA as opposed to a 3.59 at home. So you can use that. But Philly should give him some run support, but we can definitely see, because Kevin Gausman's obviously the most expensive pitcher for a reason. He's 10,500 game logs. Coming off a fantastic game against Cleveland. 7 innings pitched, no earned runs, 6 Ks. Not so good against Baltimore. A good game against LA. Splits-wise, he's faced Philly once this year. 6 innings pitched, no earned runs, 29.7 fantasy points. I actually like both of these pitchers. Gausman could be in store for a great game at 10,500. You could pay down 1,500 for Nola, but I think both of these are great options. To be completely honest, I don't think I'm going to use many bats here. If I'm in this game, I'm probably in this game for the pitching and not the bats. So we can look at the bats real quick. But yeah, I'd probably avoid the bats a little bit more. If you aren't and you want to look, you could look at Schwarber against a righty. You could look at Bryce Harper. Trey Turner's been on fire. Alec Boehm, Real Muto, Stott, and Castellanos would be the ones I use. And then for Toronto bats, Chapman I would use. Vlad Guerrero. Springer a little bit. That's probably it there. So more than likely I'll have some exposure to both of these pitchers, more so than the offense. Yankees at the Braves. The Yankees are going to, like I said, stack against them. and it's worked. The first 2 games of this series to be announced for the Yankees, and then Charlie Morton against the Yankees, 149 plate appearances, a almost 33% K percentage, which is huge for that many plate appearances, and a 248 batting average against them. They just look lost. They don't look like they're doing anything. Let's see if the Yankees even picked anyone yet. Okay, so it's Randy Vasquez. Going to be... Who knows? It's the Braves. There's no way I'm taking anyone. I'm not taking him. I would rather take Charlie Morton here. Obviously, he hasn't faced the Yankees this year. Pitches better at home. I know a little bit worse at home, but pretty much the same. But he's got a matchup against the Yankees team they're just dead. They look terrible. I would rather take the Braves bats, and we don't even need to dig into it. It's any of the Braves bats that you want. Acuna, Arcia, Olsen, Rosario. Literally take your pick. The top, pretty much 1 through 9. Honestly, you could do 1 through 9 for the Braves. It doesn't matter. Not looking at the Yankees. I'm looking at Charlie Morton against them, and I'm looking at the Braves bats. Angels at the Rangers, you got Reed Detmers versus John Gray. Detmers, 112 plate appearances, 255 batting average, 30.4 K percentage there. And then John Gray, 83 plate appearances, a 280 batting average there. So looking into these numbers here, Detmers, why has it got Griffin Canning here? Yeah, he just pitched on Monday. Where's Detmers? So he's not on here right now. That's a mistake. So it's going to be Reed Detmers against the Rangers. I probably wouldn't use Reed Detmers, though. I'd look at the Rangers bats, and then we could look at John Gray real quick. John Gray against the Angels. He had a really good game against San Francisco. We used John Gray against San Francisco last start at 8,100, and fantastic. Now he went down to 6,900 against the Angels. Splits-wise, he hasn't faced them this year. At home, if he is worse at home, so I don't know if I'll be using John Gray, but I'll definitely be using Texas bats. The bats that I would use for the Angels here, I would use Brandon Drury, I would use Shohei Ohtani, Renfroe would be the ones I use if I'm not going with Gray. If I'm looking at the Texas bats, Marcus Semien against the lefty, Corey Seager's been absolutely on fire against the lefty, Adolis Garcia I would look at a little bit there. Let's see if anyone's had success, who it is against Detmers. Yeah. So I'd use Garcia, Semien, Corey Seager. I would use Nate Lowe. A little bit of Durant. Mitch Garver, I wouldn't be surprised if he hits a home run. Lefty on righty matchup, he likes to hit there. So I would look at Garver, Grossman, Lowe, Seager, Semien, and Adolis Garcia in this game. So I'm probably avoiding John Gray. I'm going to avoid Reed Detmers for sure. I would go with Texas bats. White Sox at the Cubs, you got Mike Clevinger versus to be announced. It might be Javier Assad. Let's see. So Clevinger, though, is the third lowest priced pitcher on the slate. Game logs made the Yankees look like he was a Cy Young. In that game, 6 innings, 6 Ks, 23.9 at 6,900. Now he's 5,700. Splits-wise, he hasn't faced the Cubs this year. Hasn't faced a ton of them, but 52 plate appearances, 174. So I wouldn't look at Clevinger. Assad, could look at Clevinger a little bit. Assad, though, pitched 8-11, so it's probably his turn to start. Splits-wise, he's faced Chicago White Sox one time this year, but out of the bullpen. 1K in that one, so not much going on. Went 1.2 innings with 1K and still had 9.8 fantasy points, which is weird to see the fantasy points because he got the outs. Home games, 3-6. He is at home, yes. Probably not using either of these pitchers. Maybe a little bit of Clevinger for just to get the exposure because it should be very less, but we'll look at the bats real quick. If you're not using either pitcher and you want to go with the bats in this one, Eloy, Andrew Vaughn, I would look at. Luis Robert Jr., I would look at. Maybe a little bit Oscar Colas for tournaments. Mancada a little bit. If you're not going with Clevenger, Patrick Wisdom's more of a tournament option, but he's got some red there. Chris Morel, I'd look at Suzuki. Swanson's been on fire. Ian Happ, a switch hitter, I do like that. Candelario, I would take there. Again, Mike Tauchman, if Tauchman's leading off, I love him even more. And then Cody Bellinger would be the bats I would look at in this game. I'll take a little bit of Clevenger in tournaments just because he is so cheap at 5,700. It allows you to build around. That's what I would look at. And then I would not use Assad at all. Next game, Mariners at the Royals. You got Luis Castillo versus James McArthur. So Luis Castillo is going to be up here, but he's going to be buried down below because we got Kershaw, Snell, and Gossman going. But he's got a fantastic matchup against Kansas City in Kansas City. Game logs coming off a great game against Baltimore, which is a hard team to pitch against right now. Not a good game against the Angels, and then really good games in a row here. Game logs hasn't faced Kansas City this year. He is worse on the road, but this is a fantastic pitcher's park. I would probably look at Luis Castillo. I think he's going to go under-owned because we do have these guys up here. So I think Castillo is in a fantastic spot here at 9,600, especially on DraftKings, that you could have success there. Also forgot to tell you, we do have PGA information up. We've got the cheat sheet going, and hopefully, if all things go well, I'll be putting out a PGA DFS breakdown today. So hit the bell notification so you guys are aware when that comes out. But yeah, James McArthur, I don't know anything about him. What is PO? Probable opener. So he's not even going to go deep in the game. He's going to go, one inning, maybe two max. So I wouldn't use him. So if we're looking at this, probably using Seattle bats. Wouldn't use Kansas City bats because I do like Luis Castillo here. Seattle bats looking at James McArthur, but we don't know who's going to be behind him. J-Rod, I would look at Dylan Moore. I would look at Suarez. I would look at Hernandez. If you want to get a little bit crazy, you can go Canzone or Mike Ford would be very cheap. Josh Rojas, I would look at there. And I'm not looking at the Royals bats against Castillo. Then you got the Orioles at the Padres. You got Dean Kramer versus Blake Snell. Kramer, 24 plate appearance, 158. Blake Snell, 65 plate appearances, 218. So looking at this, Dean Kramer here against San Diego. We did use him his last start. He did well against Houston, 7 innings, 2 earned runs, 5 Ks, 21 fantasy points. Splits-wise, hasn't faced San Diego. He is pitching on the road, which he does have a better ERA on the road at 3.70, which is a tournament option. So I don't mind either of these pitchers. Blake Snell's going to cost you, though. Snell, game logs, pretty good game against Arizona. 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 7 Ks. Splits-wise, home games, he is a little bit worse on the road, or at home. But still, I mean, under 3 ERA. He's got a season ERA of 2.63. Struck out 91 batters here. Baltimore could have success. He's faced Baltimore in the past. Not very many of these bats. I guess 65 is not too bad. So I don't mind either of these pitchers. I think Blake Snell is more of your cash option. I think Dean Kramer is more of your tournament option. If you aren't going with the pitching in this game and you want to look at the bats, the ones that jump out to me would be Juan Soto against a righty for sure. If we're going San Diego bats, be Juan Soto. Tatis, Machado, Trent Grisham. I would look at Gary Sanchez, had a grand slam yesterday. I would look at him if he starts, but he's probably not going to start. I would look at Bogarts, Cronenworth, and Kim. If you're not going with Blake Snell and you want to look at the bats for the Orioles, Gunnar Henderson, I don't mind. Ryan Mountcastle, I don't mind. Santander being a switch hitter, I don't mind. Rushman being a switch hitter, I don't mind. Probably would be what I look at in this game. But I honestly like both of these pitchers. Again, though, I think Kramer's more your tournament option. I think Snell is more of a cash. Then the final game on the slate, you got the Brewers at the Dodgers. You got Wade Miley versus Clayton Kershaw. Battle of the lefties. Miley's been around for a while. Well, Kershaw's been around too, but Miley's faced 156 of these Dodgers bats, 261 batting average, but only striking out 13.5. And then Kershaw, 91 plate appearances against the Brewers, 188 batting average, 36.3 fantasy points out of him there. We look at Wade Miley real quick. Game logs, came back, has been back 2 starts. okay starts at 7,000, but now he's 6,600 because he's going up against the Dodgers. He's faced the Dodgers once this year, 5 innings pitched, 7 earned runs, minus 2.2 fantasy points with a 12.6 ERA. I'm not taking Wade Miley. I'm looking at the Dodgers bats. We could look at Kershaw here. Game logs, coming back from injury against Colorado, 5 innings, 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts, 15.5. Obviously, we need at least a minimum of 5 innings out of him. Splits-wise, he's faced Milwaukee once this year, 7 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 8 Ks, had success there. So I'm looking at Kershaw and stacking against Wade Miley. I think you know who we're going to be stacking, but definitely looking at this game, I'm looking at Mookie Betts at the top. JD Martinez, I don't know if JD Martinez is going to start. Let's see. Real quick, I'm not sure. I don't think he's on the IL. He's just been day-to-day, and I don't know if he hit yesterday, game logs. So he did hit yesterday. He batted 5th. I do like, so yeah, I'm looking at JD Martinez against Wade Miley, Mookie Betts, Max Muncy, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Rosario, maybe Kike Hernandez. No, probably not. So yeah, those would be the ones I look at. So Rosario, Smith, Freeman, Muncy, Betts, and Martinez, and then taking Kershaw and stacking against Wade Miley. And there you have it. Those are all of the pitchers on and batters on this slate. Huge Wednesday slate. We will be back Thursday, so definitely I suggest hitting the bell notification on our videos so you can see when our videos go out or go live, so you can get your comment in there and get yourself a chance to win, hopefully, if this video gets 150 likes, a lifetime pass. But we are going to go over the top 10 batters and hitters on the slate. So far, this is through 2,000 simulations. So we do 10,000 at the end of the day. This is through 2,000. So here we go. So as of now, we'll go top 11 because you're going to see a little bit of stacks here. So Tommy Pham against Austin Gomber, Ellie De La Cruz against Noah Syndergaard, Acuna against Randy Vasquez, Nolan Jones versus Jabroni, I don't know his name, Corbin Carroll versus Austin Gomber, Matt McClain versus Noah Syndergaard, Aaron Judge versus Charlie Morton, Spencer Steer versus Noah Syndergaard, Christian Walker versus Austin Gomber, Adolis Garcia against Reed Detmers, and Corey Seager against Reed Detmers. So from the first 2,000 simulations, it's really liking 3 Arizona bats, so an Arizona stack, a Cincinnati stack. I was very surprised only one Atlanta bat right now, but I would definitely stack Atlanta. And then it does like a couple of Texas bats against Reed Detmers. So those are through 2,000 simulations. We will have 10,000 by the end of the day. So yeah, let's take a look. So right now, it currently likes top 10 pitchers: Kevin Gausman, Blake Snell, Luis Castillo, Andrew Abbott, Aaron Nola. It does like the Jesus Lizard, Jesus Luzardo. I'm a little bit weary on a lefty on righty or lefty matchup here against Houston, so that'd be more of a tournament option probably. John Gray against LA, Kenta Maeda, James Paxton, and Clayton Kershaw. Now, these will update. Again, we have 8,000 more simulations to go. We'll put them on the website. On the website, what we have to offer, a ton of information. Our cheat sheet consists of our cheat sheet, weather tab, which gives you, let me just show you real quick and then we'll end this video. So hopefully you guys found this video helpful. If you did, let us know. Let us know what you like about the videos. Let us know what you would like to see. These are obviously the cheat sheet for yesterday. These are the stacks that we liked. We've got a weather tab here. Shows you a bunch of things going through. Humidity, meaning the hotter it is, you can see the bigger the humidity number, the better the chance for the pitch you're rating. So we've got that there. We've got Fanduel early slates, main slates, DraftKings early slate, main slate, and Boomstick Shots, our home run picks here. 2 riders right now. These are the records of home runs through since we started. I don't even remember when we started this. So with the lineups, what I tell them is go ahead and use them, but don't just copy paste them. Make a little bit of change with them. So that is what I'll say. That is what I've got in this. We will be back tomorrow with a video. We'll also be having a PGA video out hopefully today, as all things go well, and MMA video out hopefully today or tomorrow, depending on when it comes out. So we have a bunch of information coming out, and I'm going to start doing some rankings and drafts for NFL coming up very soon with videos. So trying to get through training camps, trying to get through everything to see any injuries that come out before we put out the matchup tool, which we've got it started, which I'm very, very excited about. So that's what I've got in this video. Good luck on today's slate, everybody. Let's bring them some bacon. Peace.